And I'm gonna miss you. And I hope our paths cross again. We've known
Doesn't quite.
we know each other. We've known each other for over 43 years, and kids are little.
Not anymore.
And I haven't heard the whole story of what's happening after today, but you're going down to Salem?
Dana.
Lucky Dana. Thank you.
I was here about 3 years ago or so with my 4 daughters and my girlfriend at the time. And Pat and John helped me to basically get back on my feet when I was struggling like financially and with housing. And just really just amazing to see how they really just live to help people. That's what I have seen in the time that I've been around them. Just really living all of their time, using all of their time and their effort to help, and not even really selflessly doing it. They're not doing it for any recognition or anything like that. And that's so rare to find people that really just are always using their energy to help people, and they always are knowing that there's more they can do. Like, I mean, I remember so many times of me or other people asking Pat or John, hey, can we help you out with that? Like, no, because they wanted to be able to continue to do that. That's what it brings them joy and brings them happiness, is to be able to always be out there helping people. So that really touched me to see that, to experience that, to understand that that's just something you can do in life. That I guess I hadn't really experienced it so fully as with them. And then not just them, but then the community of different people, with all the people they're helping, seeing the reflection of the changes that those people made on them and them on other people, and on me and my kids and my girlfriend, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, Pat and John. Love you guys.
Hey there, my name is Adrienne Flagg. Hello. I don't want to say goodbye to John and Pat, because I hope that I'm not saying goodbye to John and Pat and that our paths will continue to cross. But I do want to say a goodbye and a thank you to this home. The first time I stepped foot in this home was over 50 years ago. And I came from a very different kind of loving family. They were much more isolated than the families that were here. And when I walked in here, it was a revelation of what family and community could be. And so many big moments happened for me in this house. Numerous theater companies were born here. My marriage to my husband, Michael, was born here, and Pat and John officiated that ceremony. And whether it was a celebration, I knew I could always call and have support and connection, or whether it was a difficult time, I knew I could always call and have support. And of course, a lot of that has to do with John and Pat, but it's what you've created in this home that was a guide point and a beacon for me. And I know for Michael and I, one of the things we included in our vows was to keep our doors open to our community. And our house is much smaller than your house, but I feel like we have had so much community pass through our doors and such a growth of what family is. And even my parents eventually came along for the ride. But I want to thank you for creating this space and having me understand what this space is and be able to carry that forward. So I want to thank this house and the people that brought it to life. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much. I was kind of knocking around in my life, and I'd been a Vista volunteer in Hood River. And after that ended, I liked living there, but couldn't find a job. And there was a meeting in the Dalles called by a leader of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, and I went to that, and she told us about the white trains that were going through. You know, they painted them, they were carrying the nuclear warheads for the Trident submarines in Puget Sound, Sailor Sea. And they were white so that they kept them cool. And I remember looking around at the 4 or 5 people and just saying to her, "Don't tell us how bad it is, tell us what we can do." And so people were out protesting on the tracks. And I was off on a tree planting job and didn't get to do that. And then I moved and came into Portland, and I saw a sign advertising a nonviolent civil disobedience training. And I knew I had to go to that. And Ann, Huntworth, and Pat were teaching it. So that's how I got joined. I didn't have anything else going on in my life really that I knew but I knew showing up with each other to call us together was the way to go. And when we formed Metanoia, then I really learned that I hope you all are aware of this, but we are called. It's a really basic part of our being. And I learned that from John and Pat and Ann and Bruce in the community. And, we need to spread that. We need to be a people together in this world, or we're going to go under. You know that. And most people don't seem to get that we're called. I don't know how to teach that, but I think we need to discover how to awaken that call. How to awaken it. Thank you.
Is this thing on? Oh my goodness. What are y'all doing here? I know what you're doing here, cause that's why I'm here too. I love each. Wow! What? Oh snap. Okay. Anyway, I don't even want to look around the room because we are here because we're here. And where'd we go? But that's why we're here right now. And you know what? Like each, I just want to shoot kisses around the whole room. Wow, oh, snap, oh. Dang. I love you because you love me and you love here. And we're here because Pat and John made this nest. And now look at how this nest is full. So we have to like fly away. Love you.
My name's Bill, and I can't help but noticing all the overlapping stories and epics of this house. And I was here for pretty much the last 30 years or so. And it probably began with the first civil disobedience training that was mentioned. Around the white train movement that was going on in the 80s. So many things were happening in the 80s under the premise of a president called Reagan. And I think he's helped get us to this point in our history.
My God, Bill, it's hard to hear back here.
with other parts of the politic that has gone on to the point where it's now kind of Alice in Wonderland meets America. And if C.S. Lewis were still alive, I'm sure he would have fun revising Alice and the fall down the rabbit hole that went on in his stories of just upside down worlds. But this house went through some transitions that I think I participated in over the years with a group of Bedlinder Brigade carpenters and builders, and I'm an electrician by trade, and have dedicated my time in Portland to keep old houses alive. And this is a very nice old house. But I've enjoyed working on it every time I get a call. But that was the early to late 80s of activities that have gone on that I continued to review in my memory cells that are left. They may be getting fewer, but the ones that are there, this will be a place I remember, because Bedlinder Brigade was raising money in this very room over the 9 years that it existed, with an auctioneer named Joe Uris, who came from kind of the streets of Portland before I got here during the Vietnam period. I happened to be in the Navy for 4 years, so I missed that whole fun. But I realized, like the other vets that have talked, you realize the wars never end, and peace gets put to the wayside when the war makers push their buttons. This has always been a safe house for people that respected peace. And have always been against war making, social injustice, the demise of democracy when it's apparent to us. And Portland has had a big part of history involved in speaking out. Always has. And if you look at the history of Oregon, we have a long history in the state of speaking up. Mark Hatfield, for those who haven't known or hadn't reviewed that history, was one of the first teams into Hiroshima after World War II. So he was an eyewitness to what the atomic bomb brought us in disaster and catastrophe. In my time on board Navy warships, I was close enough to visit Nagasaki on a fast train. If that was in play, I took the fastest train I could because I had to get back to my ship before my overnight pass was up. But I saw the inside of the Nagasaki War Museum, and that has stayed with me since the 1980s. I was in Vietnam, 66 through 70, and I didn't understand what the perspective was of the time that I did, because my dad did his time. It naturally passed on to me. When the time came, you go do your duty for your country. thought duty just meant you got to see new places around the world. But we had to fix our ship to keep it afloat too. But the places that I saw and visited, Japan has stood out in my mind. And history that I've read since then about Hiroshima and Nagasaki is enough for the world to have paid attention everywhere to what atomic war looks like. And now, I can't believe what my country looks like and where it goes out of its way to keep another one going. 10,000, 15,000 miles around the planet away. So, the question would be, how many times does peace need to take a second seat to war for it to be heard? And I don't know yet. It's still to be determined, but I don't give up being in the streets when the time comes. I don't give up saying what needs to be said by people that I know that maybe are wondering what to say at times like this. And I think my common response is stay upright and above ground, and you'll get the message.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Aaron Martin. I am a Methodist pastor and in the communion, if you will, with John Schwiebert for the Oregon Idaho Annual Conference. But our family moved in 2015 to the Peace House, and we brought our two boys with us, Elijah and Rowan, who at the time were 6 and 9 years old, to live in community. And it was in some ways a bit of an unholy union. In that I had been asked by the bishop to be a district superintendent, which was like deep in the heart of the system. And John and Pat have always been on the edge of the system in some ways, very important disruptors and resistors to the Methodist way that we all know can be racist and white supremacist and colonialist in many ways. So it was an odd place for a district superintendent to move in to the Peace House, and that was a time for us where we had to figure out new and different ways of being in shared life together that often were painful and difficult. And I think in some ways what I've learned from that experience is that there is no greater testimony to reconciliation and peace when people who love each other often have to be forced to break relationship in particular ways and then come back together after healing. And I think what Pat has shared today about hospice work and grief work is that leaving and leave-taking is holy, holy, holy work. And it's important for us to hold fast to each other in our leave-taking, knowing that we will also carry each other with us when we go. So Pat asked me to offer a decommissioning blessing. That is, this place has held so much powerful prayer, so much powerful community, so much powerful resistance, so much witness to a different way, so much deep humanity shared and wept and laughed over for countless numbers of people. And so as we decommission Metanoia Peace Community United Methodist Church and Peace House, we do so holding all of that joy and grief and pain and love and life and death as we go. Would you be willing to just assume a posture of blessing, whatever that looks like for you? It can be any way of just kind of offering up your heart and your breath as we hear this decommissioning blessing for this space, and we begin to have Pat and John take their leave, and we also join them in the leave taking. It's good to know that it won't be the end of life that happens in this house. And a part of that painful marriage of a district superintendent and a kind of marginalized, resistant church coming together is that when push came to shove at the end, it was in some ways a part of my opportunity to convince the Methodist system to let John and Pat go as they have lived, which is giving it away.
Yes.
And to do it in an act of racial repair, and do it in a way that will be honoring of the fact that this place will be a place of justice and mercy for as long as it will be. So we, in that spirit of knowing that we take a leave, but we also hand it on with love and grace, if you would, just figure out what is comfortable for you to receive this decommissioning blessing. Friends, the time has come for this community, 18th Avenue Peace House, and this congregation of Metanoia Peace Community United Methodist Church to take leave of this home. It has been consecrated for so much ministry of God's goodness and grace. It has provided refuge and comfort for so many people. It has served in life and faith well. And it's fitting, therefore, that John and Pat should take leave at this consecrated home as we now lift up our hearts in thanksgiving for the common store of memories that we have just shared. So hear these words. This home, having been consecrated and named the 18th Avenue Peace House and Metanoia Peace Community United Methodist Church, together with the land and with all who are gathered here now in it, we now take our leave and release it to continued honorable use. And we take with us as we leave our common love for one another and for life and for all that will now take place beyond us in this gathered room. We thank you and we offer it in the name of the Holy One. Amen.
Amen.